It's doing that for us. All right. Well, it's good to see everyone here today. What an awesome turnout. So I've done this before for a room of people, but I didn't make this disclaimer. So I'm going to make a disclaimer now, which is what we're going to talk about over the next 45 minutes is it can be uncomfortable, right? It can create some negative emotion and energy. And your initial response is going to be to kind of push back or reject the concept. I've seen it. I've also experienced it, right? My business was doing really well, and I'd go to these things and people would tell me I'd have to change and get better, and I'd take some of it in and I'd learn some of it, but a lot of it I would just kind of keep doing what I was doing because I'd already shown that level of success. And I'll tell you, if you can just stay curious, right? If you can just ask yourself, like, what if he's right? Like, what if we do need to change? What you can do, not only for yourself, right, and to become the real estate professional of the future, the real estate professional that your clients need you to be, right? This is not just for your business, and so you can stay, doing a strong amount of business. This is for the communities that you serve, because I believe this is what our industry needs. So, in order to do this, I'm going to ask you to do something a little unique. A lot of you guys have notepads and you have things you're going to write down, and when no offense to people who take notes, but what I've experienced is when you come to learn things, you write them down, it sounds good, and then you leave, and then you just don't do any of it. So for the next 45 minutes, I'm going to ask you to feel your way through this. So if I say something that gives you pause, if I say something that makes you uncomfortable, if I say something that you kind of have some pushback against, write that thing down, and that's the thing you need to do. Because if you're comfortable for the next 6 to 12 months, you're doing it wrong. All right, so I'm going to ask you to think through these concepts a little bit more. So to start doing this, we're going to get into our feelings here a little bit. I'm going to ask everyone to close your eyes for me for a second, maybe 5 seconds. Now, as you have your eyes closed, ask yourself the question, why do I do this? Why do I help people buy and sell real estate? Why do I help people with their mortgage financing? And then when you're done, just open your eyes and really ask yourself why. Not a superficial why, but the real why. Okay, I think we got everyone back. So do me a favor, raise your hand if your answer had anything to do with the fact that you enjoy or like helping people. Most of the room. Cool. We usually get that, right? Most of the people are in this industry, and you ask why you do this, because I just love helping people. I love helping people get into homes and so many things, right? Now, what would you do if I told you that the reason you're doing this is not what you're actually doing? That's where I usually get the death stares. Right? That's where the emotion comes from. And this is not an accusatory statement. Right? It's not me saying that you're doing it wrong. It's just me saying that you've been doing it the way that we've been doing it for the last 100 years. So don't take offense, right? Just be open to the idea that we can do it better. In order to help you understand the problems, I need to point out 2 things that hopefully become obvious here. The first thing is that we're all the same. Again, death stares and people saying, no, not me. I'm definitely better than that person, right? I get it, right? Everyone feels like better. But what's your name? Nikki. Nikki, for sitting in the first row, gets the question. So Nikki, imagine I'm a buyer, right? And I'm your client, and I come to you and I say, hey, Nikki, I really need to buy a house. I've heard you're an amazing realtor. I was referred to you by my best friend. But I'm working with another agent, and they have 100 5-star reviews. They said they have a phenomenal customer service. They're number 1 in the market. They're going to do it for cheaper than anybody else. They have the best results. They have the best marketing. They're going to negotiate for me. They're going to be available for me 24/7. And they just mentioned that, they're the best the best realtor in the marketplace. Why should I use you? You don't have to answer that question. Yeah. Yes. So team, I wanted to point that out because we all say the same things, right? Some people work harder than others. Some people have better marketing than others. Some people are better at creating trust and relationship than others. But we're all selling the same product, which means that we're all the same, right? We may just be doing it a little bit differently. The second thing is that we're giving our clients what they want, but we're not giving them what they need. And let me try and hit that home here. So raise your hand if you had any sort of formal education in real estate education or financial education prior to getting into this industry. Okay, 3.5 people had like an alligator arm that didn't want to get all the way up. Okay, so now raise your hand if you're 100%. No, let's not do 100%. If you're 90% confident in the fact that you're doing all the right things in your own life in regards to real estate and finance. Let's see them. Half, another half, 1.5. So if everyone can just look around the room real quick. This is a room full of real estate and mortgage professionals, and I would argue it's probably some of the best real estate and mortgage professionals. But we are not even 90% certain of what we are doing in our own life in regards to our own real estate and finance. So what the hell do we think our clients feel like? Right, over 70% of people who buy homes in a recent poll have at least one form of regret within the first year that they bought that home. And there's a lot of other regrets, right? But there's at least one. So hopefully you understand the problem by now. I'm going to get to solving it in a second, but before I do, I think it's important you understand kind of how we got here. So I grew up in a really small town in Northern California, and I was always fascinated by the haves and the have-nots. Right? I'd see people, not in my hometown, but when we travel, I'd see people that had amazing wealth. Right? And I'd see it on TV, all this stuff. And then I'd see people that were incredibly poor, right? That really had nothing. And the whole gamut in between. And I always wondered why there was such a disparity. And so when I got into the mortgage industry, I was excited to be able to learn more about real estate and finance so I could then figure that out. Well, they don't teach you that in the mortgage industry. They just teach you how to sell loans. So just through hard work and showing up, and Eric and I have worked together for almost 15 years now. I started to do well in the mortgage space, but it was just because of effort, right? It was just because of customer service. It was just because of outworking other people. And it got to a point, where many years in a row I was one of the top lenders in the United States. But if you asked me what I did, and this was kind of in 2018 when I started getting started realizing what I was doing wasn't what I felt like I should be doing. If someone asked me what I did for work, I'd be like, well, I'm in the mortgage business. And people would look at me and they'd be like, we were kind of good at it. Shouldn't you be like a little more excited? And I just wasn't proud of the fact that I sold more debt than other people. Like that didn't land well with me. And then on top of that, we started losing clients in 2018. If you guys remember, rates kind of peaked up at the end of 2018 there. So I had a client come to me and says, Ryan, we love you. You and your team have been amazing, but we just went into contract and Loan Monkey is a 1/4 point lower than you. Loan Monkey is a real mortgage company. And we lost to them. And at first I was upset. I'm like, what do you mean? We have amazing customer service. We had your name on the sign when you walked in. We gave you drinks and food. We had music. We call all the time. We text you back immediately. Like, how could you pick a cheaper option? And I was just furious. And I go home and I'm ranting to my wife. And she goes, I don't want to be like, it's your business. And I love you. And I'm like, oh, here we go. She says, well, if they're just going to get their loan closed and they're going to save, how much would they save? Like over $10,000. If they're going to save over $10,000, do they really care that much about customer service? And I was like, good. My wife just figured this out in 10 minutes. It took me 17 years. So, at some point I started to realize customer service is subjective, right? And if there's not a tangible way to show the consumer that we're going to improve their financial livelihood, then they actually should just go with the cheapest person, right? Because customer service, again, only goes so far. But the nail in the coffin was end of 2018. A client named Stephanie calls me. We just helped her and her family buy this home a year before. And she goes, Ryan, we need your help. We have to sell the house, and I don't know if I can qualify for a new one. Well, what's going on? We just helped you and your family just buy it last year. Market's going straight up. Everything okay? And she says, no, my husband got in a car accident and passed away. And now we can't afford the home. So I gathered myself and I said, well, Stephanie, first of all, I'm so sorry. But I want you to know that it's likely that life insurance is going to kick in and it'll pay off the mortgage. it'll help with so many things. So I just want to make sure that you know that. What do you think she said to me? Yeah. You could not tell me that that was not my fault. And a lot of people tried. I said, Ryan, you're a loan officer. You don't sell life insurance. It's not your job. I had life insurance. I'm a father. I'm a husband. My parent. There's just no question on the mortgage application for life insurance. There's no question from the real estate community about the importance of life insurance. And it hit me. I said, we're making some really bad assumptions here. We're assuming that because someone owns a home, that they're going to know how to become a successful homeowner. And there are thousands and thousands and thousands of cases where that's absolutely not true. But we haven't done anything about it. So at that point, I knew things had to change, right? We had to make a real significant difference. I did not want to ever give someone any higher rate, or if I'm a real estate agent, I don't want to give anybody the higher commission than the cheapest person would ever give if I can't show them how we're going to impact their life in a positive way moving forward. Because the 30 days leading up to the transaction is nothing compared to the 30 years after. It just so happened around this time, I started having some stomach problems, and likely stress related. So I go to the doctor. Anyone ever been to the doctor recently? Super fun, right? You go in, no one knows who you are. You sit in the waiting room for a long time. Nurse checks a couple things, doctor throws some pills at you, and you're out the door. Does the doctor get back at all? No. So I did that like 3 times, and I obviously wasn't getting better. And finally, one of my friends turned me on to what we called a concierge doctor. Anybody ever heard of a concierge doctor? A couple people? It was an incredible thing. No, microphone? Is that better? Ooh, there we go. I can hear myself. So this concierge doctor is proactive in his approach. So you go in every 6 months, they do blood draws and blood panels, and they put you on treadmills and EKG. They test every ounce of you every 6 months. And so you have to really work hard to get sick because they're constantly giving you the right things and helping you manage through your health proactively. And it was right then, first of all, I got better quickly, but right then I realized that is how we do it. We can completely redefine what it means to be a real estate or mortgage professional. Right? And our clients will come to expect something much greater than they've ever expected. And this is important because this is a rhetorical question. Industry's changed a little bit, right? A little different than the last 10 years. So this is one of my favorite quotes. Darwin says, it's not the strongest species that survives. It's not even the smartest species that survive. It's the ones that are most adaptive to change. So team, if we're still doing the same thing a year from now, 2 years from now, or 5 years from now, that we've been doing for the last 10 years, we're just not going to make it. Nor should we. Because there's a lot of smart and strong real estate and mortgage professionals that have proven track records of success. But that doesn't mean that that's going to continue, right? It means they have to continue to evolve with the times for it to work. And I'll explain what we're doing today. So here's a current status quo. First is the consumer has to think, I want to buy or sell a home. From there, they have to make up their own mind. From there, they show themselves online, they ask for a referral, somehow they show themselves as a potential lead to the real estate and mortgage sharks of the world. Next, speed to lead, right? We got to call them in 3 seconds. As soon as we know that they want to buy or sell or finance a home, we better be the first one to call them. Then we have to create relationships, right? We got to get them to want to like us and trust us. It's important. Then they have to choose us. There's 1.6 million licensed realtors. There's 400,000 loan officers. There'll be less next year, but there's that many now. And then you have to give them really good customer service, right? Because that's how we get our repeat and referral business, right? It's all customer service. Did you enjoy your experience? From there, we market to them, right? So they don't forget about us. That way, the next time they decide to buy or sell a home, we're there. And then we make our fundamental assumption that now you're a homeowner. It's going to be all sunshine and rainbows for you. Call us when you need us. That's the real estate and mortgage business today. Now, let me tell you why that's not going to work. So, first of all, raise your hand if you're one of your past clients, you've helped them buy or sell a home. If they call you and they say, hey, what's your name? Yeah. Anyone, give me a name. Kim. Sorry, I'm like, Kim, if one of your past clients calls you and says, hey, Kim, I really want to buy a new home. Raise your hand if you think that's a win for Kim, if that's a good thing for Kim. People are like, I think it is, but it's a trick question. I know it's a trick question, so I'm not going to raise my hand all the way. He gave it away. It's not a good thing. Anybody know why it's not a good thing? Nailed it. Let's get a prize. We'll get you a prize. I mean, if you get a second, pull out your phone, go to Google, and type in real estate market. Your phone will explode. It just melts. Right? Like every headline they're looking at is doom and gloom. Right? Nobody knows if they can sell their damn house. Nobody knows if they should buy a home or not. But we expect them to come up with that idea on their own. Just call me when you're ready. Like, are you kidding me? Nobody's going to be ready. The only time they're ready is if they absolutely have to right now. This isn't the last 10 years. We should be so proactively engaged with our clients that we're the ones reaching out, educating them as to when they should buy, sell, or finance their next home, and then just work with them towards that strategy. Next is they have to expose themselves online as a lead. We are going to lose that game. Anybody think that we have better data control than Zillow or Redfin or Quicken or fill in the blank? Right? We're not going to win that game. Next is speed to lead. I will be the happiest person on the universe if I never hear that term again. If we're chosen because we're the first person to call them, that is sad. Right? But oftentimes that's the case because the next 30 people that call behind them say the same thing that you just said. So they're like, well, I already talked to somebody. I don't need to talk to them again. I'm going to hear the same thing 30 times. Right? So speed to lead has nothing to do with it. It has to do with actual connection and value. Next is relationship building. Anybody ever read The Challenger Salesperson? If you don't, that book will change your career. The premise is that everyone thinks whoever has the best relationships wins in sales. I hear it all the time. Why are you so successful? I just have such good relationships with my clients. And this book completely demystifies that. Relationship sales-based people finish dead last in a study of thousands of salespeople across multiple professions. But the people that finish first are the people that give advice and guidance that the client didn't know they needed and didn't know they had a problem to solve in the first place. Next is they have to choose you. 1 out of 1.6 million. It's a tough go. Right? So we have to earn the ability for us to be chosen. You should be the 1 out of 1.6 million that tells a different story. Customer service, I think I've made that clear. I lost a loan monkey. Customer service is somewhat meaningless. Spam, it's important to stay in touch with them, but audit what you're sending. Is what you're sending about you, or is it about them? Right? And it's almost impossible to make it about them unless you have all the systems and resources in place, which we're going to go over here in a second. And lastly, please don't make the assumption that because someone owns a home, they will become a successful homeowner. That is not the case. People need advice and guidance. I could go on for the next hour on everything a consumer needs to really become a successful, well-rounded, holistic homeowner. And we're not offering any of that. But as soon as we do, we sell a different product and we become a different opportunity for that client. Okay, so the analogy I use here is horses to cars. Horses were the main focus or main way that people got transportation. for thousands of years. And then 1907, Henry Ford created the Model T. And if you asked him, he said, if you would have asked any of my clients what they wanted, they would have just said faster horses. Because if you've never seen a car, well, then you know what you know, right? And this is the real estate and mortgage industry. The reason why they're looking for easier, right? Click button, get mortgage, click button, buy house, reduce commissions, no costs. I don't need to talk to anybody. I just need to make my way through and buy this home, is because that's all they know. And they haven't seen any other substantive value. But when people saw cars, it still took them 25 years, right? It wasn't until 1932 until there were more cars on the road than horses. Can you imagine that? Being like the last dude on a horse, being like, I don't know about that car, as it's going by you 80 miles an hour. But there's going to be people like that. This is not going to be a fast change. You're not going to leave here today and go out and be like, all right, I'm going to change the real estate industry. You're going to tell the first person, they're going to be like, nah. And then your reaction is going to be like, damn it, Ryan was wrong. They didn't love it. It takes a while for people to realize that what they want and what they need are very different things, right? People wanted faster horses, but what they needed was cars. And it took them 25 years to realize that. So if you look at the average you versus the future you, this is all based on the Challenger sale. All right, so Challenger, this is actually Blue Ocean. Most of us are competing in an existing space right now, right? The normal real estate market as we know it. The future version of you creates an uncontested market space because you get to sell a product that none of your competitors are selling. And it's a product that your clients need way more than anything else that you've been selling. Next is you're trying to beat the competition. If you do this, you'll just simply make them irrelevant, right? Because they're not comparing apples to apples anymore. They're comparing apples to the whole damn orchard at that point. From there, it's trying to get a fair share of existing demand. And this is a big one, especially right now, team. If you do this, you create and capture new demand. And this is important because there are millions of prospective homeowners who would absolutely love to buy a home if they didn't think rates were super high, right? And that home values were going to crash. They're not even engaging the marketplace. There's homeowners right now that you know who are sitting in their home and they want to move, but they don't want to move from a 3% interest rate to a 7% interest rate. But nobody's offered them a financial transition plan to say, hey, look, when does it make that? At what point? Who's monitoring that for you? At what point are we going to say, hey, look, the market did this, we talked about it, this happened, and now it's the time. People aren't doing that. They're just saying, okay, Sally, well, let me know when you're ready. Sally's not going to be ready for a long time, right? Until we reach in and pull them into the opportunity. So we have 4 pressing problems, and I'm going to go through the solutions on those problems. First is buyer fear and hesitation. If you haven't done it, I think it's important for your psychology. Just Google real estate market and then ask yourself, how is anyone buying a home right now if this is what they're seeing? Second is homeowner paralysis. Remember the people of Sally sitting in her home, wanting to move, wanting to sell, but just having no idea if it makes sense? Like team, the communities that we serve do not know that we provide proactive education, advice, and guidance on real estate and financial planning. They don't know that, mainly because we don't do it, but if they knew it, they would take you up on it. Next is database value adds. How can you add value to your database today without offering them your product? All right, like what are you going to do that improves the financial livelihood of all of the people who call you their real estate or mortgage professional if they don't want what you're selling? Right? It's a hard thing to connect with your database right now when you just keep asking, hey, do you want to buy or sell? It's more about you than them. And lastly is lack of a long-term commitment. The biggest opportunity in the history of our society is coming over the next 20 years. If you look at the demographic trends, the most people who are ever going to buy homes and the most transactions that are going to be available are going to happen over the next 20 years. Because the baby boomer generation is going to need to sell those homes. There's going to be, passing, and 90% of people who inherit a home don't want it. They want the money. So they sell it. And when you have a massive demand of millennials, Gen X, and whatever's below that, buying all these homes, the opportunities are incredible. But none of those people are incredibly excited to buy a home because they don't want a commitment for 30 years. They can't even walk up to anyone at a bar and ask them out. They just got to swipe on a phone. They're not going to do hard things. And I can say that. I'm a millennial. I'm part of it. So this is what happens when people look it up, just in case you weren't going to do that work, right? Consumer confidence hits a new low. I think it's something like 16% of people think it's a good time to buy a house. So what do we do here? If you haven't, whether it's the NEO team, your current lender, whomever, make sure you understand what this bulletproof buyer process is. Bulletproof buyer is a 4-step thing. First is they have to understand the housing market, right? So in our presentation to the consumer, they can walk in thinking, man, I'm just not sure about the housing market. And through the data and the analysis that we have for them, we can show them the demographic trends. We can show them what real inventory looks like in a buyers, sellers, and static market. We can show them all this data real time, right? Because we meet with our clients face to face. We show them all the data. We have to get them to realize that what they're reading, when they say, oh, I read an article, it's like, first of all, you didn't read the article. You just read the headline. And if you would have read the article, it didn't actually say that, right? So we have to get them over that. And the first hurdle is they have to get their head around, okay, the housing market is not going to collapse. Step 1. Step 2, personal economy versus national economy. So many people just hear recession, right? You're going to hear recession a lot more over the next 3 to 6 months. And when the consumer hears that, they just think, uh-oh, I got to stop doing anything. Right? I need to stay safe. That's what the brain does. It protects us from dying. So when we hear terms like recession, we just stop. But they have to separate their personal economy versus the national economy, and that only happens through intentionality. Right? So our team will show them cost of waiting analysis. It will show them rent versus own analysis. It will show them rent increase prices in their market. Somebody can come into this meeting thinking, I'm not sure it's a good time to buy a home, but they will walk out of it thinking it's financially irresponsible not to. It just takes real intentionality one-on-one with each person. Next is the competitive advantage. Right? If you're bringing a gun to a pillow fight, you feel a lot better about it. Right? So if they're fully approved, they can close in 50 days, they look like cash, they feel like they have this extra golden ticket, it will motivate them to utilize it. So getting your clients to a place where they feel like they have an upper hand adds to the layer of motivation. And then the fourth thing is they're not in it for the next 30 years by themselves. We explain how the real estate and mortgage team that they've chosen is committed to helping them not just own a home, but become a very successful homeowner for the next 30 years. Then we show them how to do it. And we show them exactly what we're going to do and make the commitment that we're going to grow their generational wealth. We're going to help them achieve financial freedom. We're going to help them do things that they just wouldn't have done otherwise. So they're not in it all alone by themselves. Next problem, homeowner paralysis. This is quite simply solved by education. And right now, if you're not drowning in leads, and if you are, please let us know how. But if the consumer knows that what we do is help them analyze the equity they currently have in their home and understanding what they can or should do with it to maximize their wealth, they would absolutely want that. But they don't expect it. If a consumer knew that, so just who in here owns a home? Awesome. Now, don't lie. Raise your hand if you've at least, like for the 10 seconds in the last year, thought, should I sell my house? Don't lie. Right? You'd be kind of crazy not to. You see all the headlines, right? You want to buy low, sell high. If you think that high is about to go away, you might want to sell it. Now, granted, we're not going to make an emotional decision like that because we're in the industry, but our clients will. Right? So they're thinking at least a little bit like, should I sell my house? But they're not going to call you because they don't want you to call them every 2 weeks and ask if they're ready. They're not going to call us because they don't want us to pull their credit and try and shove a pre-approval down their throat. But if they knew that we could create a plan for them and show them if you were to sell, if you were to go from a 3% to a 6 or 7%, from this size home to this size home, from this purchase price, here's what you could do with your proceeds. Here's how much you'd have to put into the new home. This is how it could help your retirement. This is how you could potentially pay off debt. This is how you could have a better future. If they knew that that was just a free thing, that somebody actually would help them through, they would absolutely take them up on it. And it 1000% is. Right, so make sure you're doing, and if you don't know how to do it, reach out to these guys, reach out to the Neo team, ask your lender if they know how to do these things. But this is what we should be doing today, not waiting for someone to decide to buy or sell a house. Next is database value add. Solution here, add real value. Don't think marketing. The next time you're about to press send on an email or send some sort of flyer or postcard or mailer to someone's home, look at it and ask, is this more about me, like marketing me so they don't forget about me, or is this more about them? Like, are they going to find real value in this? And I'll show you how we do that here in a second. And the last, again, is long-term commitment. If you can get someone to realize, well, let's do this. Anyone know the average percent of people who will not reach out to a financial planner? Financial planner, you can't answer this because you probably know the answer. Anybody? 90's close. Yeah, it's 86%. So 86% of these people will never reach out to a financial planner. Over 70% of America doesn't have a will or an estate plan or trust. Most people have no idea how to maximize their tax benefits. And we just allow that to happen. Well, hopefully they do. But here's the thing. As a country, this country was founded on owning property. Right? It's why we had the whole Revolutionary War. So it's in our DNA to want to buy homes, which means that almost everyone at some point will say, I wonder if I can just buy a house. Right? They're not going to call a financial advisor or anything else. They're just going to wonder if they can own a home because that's the path that seems easiest to them and most appropriate to build any sort of wealth. We've just never stepped into the fact that our industry has the largest opportunity to help the most families in the United States to build and grow and create more generational wealth. We've just only done the transactional part. We haven't done the important part, which is the navigating the next 30 years. So when they get that commitment, when you look at someone in the eye and say, what's your name? I say, Christina, I give you my commitment. We're going to be the most valuable team in your life for the next 30 plus years in every aspect of real estate or finance. We're going to help you create generational wealth that you likely wouldn't have otherwise. We're going to help you create and work towards financial freedom. Or we're going to help you set and accomplish goals that you probably just wouldn't have without our team helping. No knock on you. We just know that's kind of what happens with the average person, and I'm excited to do that. Does that sound different than what you all are offering? Okay, now the question is, well, how the hell do we do that? Like, how can we make that commitment to, let's say you help 100 families a year, and you've been doing this for 20 years. Do the math. That's 2,000 families. How can I really impact 2,000 families? Well, this is one way. Oh, sorry. Jumped the gun there. Oh, going the wrong direction. There we go. So this is what we call the Neo experience. We partner with this with our real estate partners across the country. We partner with our financial planners across the country. And there's a thing called the transaction interaction frequency spectrum. If you can say that fast, you get a prize. So what that means is, how often are your clients utilizing you? Right? If you look at companies like, Facebook or Instagram or, Amazon, people use Amazon daily. My wife uses it hourly. Right? That is where you get into what's called the habit zone. And a habit zone is where a company or a solution-based team becomes a part of their everyday life. Outside of it's called the forgettable zone, right? That's something that they may use, once every 6 months, once every year. The real estate industry and the mortgage industry have moved to 7 to 10 years. That's our transaction interaction frequency spectrum. There's no way we can add value and stay in front of our clients at scale without using technology, without using teams, and without using systems. right? So our clients have this on their phone at all times. They're setting objectives and goals, right? They want to improve their credit. They want to start saving. They want to buy a home. They want to buy a car. They want to pay off debt. And then we track all those behind the scenes. So I can call and say, hey, Joe, I see you're 82% of your way towards buying your home goal. Right? You might actually be there. Let's have that conversation around it. I know we set that goal 3 years ago, but let's work towards it. All right? I see you want to start saving. Right? They also walk around with a full loan approval in their pocket at all times because every month it updates their credit, every month it updates their income, and every month it updates their assets. Those are the 3 things you need to get a loan. So they see all those green check marks and they realize I can buy a home whenever I want, which again, the opportunity lies in the differentiation. If they know that they have a loaded gun, they're more often to use it, right? But if they think, I have to buy a home, I got to get approved, they're constantly approved at all times. They know it, you know it, we know it. They're constantly monitoring their credit score on a daily basis. They can run what-if simulators. They can understand, if I pay this off, is this going to help my credit? What happens if I open this Home Depot credit card? Okay, it's going to do that to my credit. All right? They can become stewards of their credit without paying for it. They can set budget and goals. They can see on a daily basis, okay, I'm above my eating out budget. I'm below my entertainment budget. Right? They can fly the plane when seeing the controls before they hit the mountain. Every one of our clients through the Neo experience gets a home concierge service. Anybody know the number one regret that people have when they buy a home? You say that? Tom cheated. Tom's seen this before. It's home maintenance, home repairs, and home upgrades. They underestimate the cost of those things. On average, it's $8,500 across the country that people spend in the first year of owning a home. But there's no guide to first-time home buyers. When I bought my home, I opened the cupboard in the laundry room, and it had like a checklist of things to do as a homeowner. None of them were checked. And that thing had been there for at least 10 years. It was an old piece of paper. Right? So that's like how we have to learn how to own a home. Right? So every one of our clients gets maintenance reminders, letting them know when to do things and how to do them. Home improvement tools, document storage, appliance recalls. It knows all the appliances in the homes. It knows the square footage, the bedroom, the bathroom. It knows the entire make and model of that property. And anytime work is done, we keep the receipts, the invoices. It's like a Carfax for the property. So when they go to sell it, it actually becomes a more valuable home. Right? Again, give clients the tools for them that just happen to be branded with you. Right? You're the provider of the value that they've needed. They just haven't gotten. Next is on a monthly basis, they get a real estate wealth digest that is highly interactive and highly educational. They not only know the value of their home, but they know what they can and should do with the equity in that home at all times. Right? We have video content for everything. So, hey, did you know you could buy an investment property for $445,000? Really? How? Click, watch the video specific to them, right? And then click a button, get in touch. Great, let's have that conversation or schedule a time. But this is a monthly thing. Does anyone know the average email open rate for real estate or finance-related emails? 6%. Whopping 6%. You have 1,000 clients, 60 of them see what you sent. This has an 84% open rate. And most of them open it multiple times per month. Because it's not about me. It's not about us. It's about them. Next is our perfect mortgage promise. We tell every client, our commitment is you're always going to be in the right home and you're always going to be in the right loan at every point of your life. Because your life is going to happen to you. You're going to have twists and turns. You're going to have ups and downs, right? It's just, are you having to navigate it on your own or is someone helping you? So we get alerts when someone lists their home. We get alerts if someone gets married, if they have a kid, if they get divorced, if there's a death, if there's an empty nest scenario. We get alerts when there's an opportunity to improve their interest rate. If there's an equity rise or fall, we get the alert to be able to reach out to them. Reverse mortgage opportunity, mortgage inquiries, early payoffs, in every aspect of rate and term cash out or MI removal. Because same concept, right? If a client calls me and says, hey, Ryan, I'm seeing rates go down. Should I refinance? That is the worst phone call we could get. Most mortgage lenders would be like, yeah, awesome, thanks for calling. Our job, literally, is to be the person that helps them navigate this. The transaction's easy. It's not hard. Right? The mortgage transaction is just math and paperwork. The real estate transaction is paperwork and conversation and communication. But the next 30 years make or breaks somebody's success. And if you can be the person that's responsible for that, what a gift. So there's a lot more. I'm not going to bore you guys with all the things that we can and should be doing as a real estate and mortgage community. If you do want to know more, please reach out to the group here. But let's talk about implementation. Again, there's a law of diminishing intent. You'll leave here, you'll be hopefully motivated and inspired. And if I just get you motivated but don't give you the tools to do it, then you just get frustrated. So the first thing is your mindset. It's a hard market, it really is. But hard times are when doing hard things are important. Because people don't need us nearly as much when things are easy. Your clients actually need your services now more than ever. They just don't need your transactional services. They need you to educate them. They need you to help them. They need you to answer questions. But they don't know that you do that, right? So the first thing you can do is go shoot a video and send it to your database and say, hey, I want to apologize, but we're turning a leaf. We are now committed to helping you become the most successful homeowner you can possibly be for the next 30 years, and I'm excited to show you how. But a lot of us want the past to come back. Right? A lot of our memories are greater than our ambitions. And that shouldn't be the case. If you're pining for 2020 or 2021 to come back, that's not the direction we should be looking. Right? A songwriter one time said, if I already thought I wrote my best song, I wouldn't keep writing. And if you thought you've done your best work, it hasn't even started yet. There's a lot more to come. Next is collaboration. There's an amazing book that changed my career called Who, Not How. The concept is, as you're growing a business, who you work with matters more than how you do it, right? How you do anything. I always got stuck wondering, why can't I get over this hurdle? Why can't I go over this hurdle? And every time I brought the right who into the equation, we got to the next level. So who are you working with, right? Whether it's business partners, whether it's vendors, whether it's lenders, whatever it might be, right? Who are you collaborating with? And if you want to write one thing down that should light you on fire for the next 30 days, is just ask yourself if you're surrounding yourself right now with people that remind you more of the future or of the past. Look at your peer group. Look at the people that you choose to work with in every aspect of your business. Are they pushing you? Are they making you uncomfortable? Are they challenging you? Are they testing you to do new things? If the answer is no, get new ones. Right? Work with the people that remind you of the next 20 years, not the last. And lastly is the evolution of your career. All right, we're going to do a name game real quick here. What's your name? Amanda, what do you do for work? Ecosystem of real estate companies? Awesome. Cool, thank you. What about you? What do you do for work? Awesome. What do you do for work? Red shirt. Sorry, nobody over here can see where I'm pointing. Cool. Awesome. Thank you, guys. So I was at an airport, and I was sitting like uncomfortably close to a couple next to me. And she looks at me, she goes, we're sitting super close. I feel like I should at least say hi. I'm like, yeah, sure. She goes, so what do you do for work? And I look at her and I said, I'm actually changing the real estate and mortgage business. What do you think she said? Yeah. What are you doing? And then we started talking. She was a financial planner. We went out, worked together. We ended up adopting her mortgage. She's now a client. The next time somebody asks you what you do for work, the goal should be to tell them you're changing the real estate industry. Because when someone asks you what you do and you say, I'm a real estate agent, they go, awesome. I know that because that's what happens to me when I tell them I'm in the mortgage business. But when you tell them you're doing something different, the curiosity kicks in, right? And then you're inspirational answer to that question creates fulfillment both for you and them. So we have to sell a different product. Because in the beginning of our careers, we get paid for what we do. But over time, we get paid for what we become and what we create. So I'm going to end with a story here. Anyone heard of Virgin Cola? No Virgin Colas, all right. Apparently never made it to St. Louis. So Virgin Cola was started by Richard Branson, Virgin Empire, right? Virgin Galactic, Virgin all the things. And he started a company that was based in the UK, and they blind taste test. They beat Coke and Pepsi every time. People picked Virgin Cola over Coke and Pepsi every time. And so he said, all right, I'm going to launch this company. And it did really well in the UK. And then he brought it to the United States. They piled Coke and Pepsi cans, and he ran over them with a tank in Times Square. That was like his PR launch. And then they started taking a lot of market share here in the United States. And then Coke found out. And they chuckled. Aha, this is cute. And what Coke did is they just bought the market. They bought all the distribution, and they bought all the store shelves. And Virgin Cola just didn't have the capital to play that game. They didn't have the bandwidth. They didn't have the size. They didn't have the strength. They were too small. And the reason I'm sharing this with you is because if I would have walked in, if I'm going in to find my Virgin Cola, and I walk in and I say, hey, Mr. Manager, where's the Virgin Cola? Like, I came here for that, and if I don't get it, I'm probably going to have to shop at a different store. What do you think would happen? Nobody? They would have brought the Virgin Cola back, right? Because the demand was real. But that's not what happened. What happened is I walk in, I look at this, and I go, where's the Virgin Cola? Oh, they don't have it. Coke's close enough. And they take it and they leave. This is the fate that we could run into if we are not so different, if we're not so much more valuable, if we can't tell a completely different story. We run the risk of the Zillows and the evil empires of the world that are click button, get mortgage, click button, buy house, stay stupid. They just leave that last part off. We have to be so much better that people demand who we are and what we do. And if we change and we evolve and we lean into making a commitment to our consumer that we've never made, that makes us feel uncomfortable, but also makes us very fulfilled, we can change the real estate industry for the better. You guys will benefit from it. Your clients and communities will benefit from it. And the next time somebody asks you what you do for a living, just smile and tell them you're changing the real estate industry. Thank you, guys. Appreciate having me here.